You know that feeling when you want to get better at something, like English, for example, but somehow you're still scrolling through social media, watching TikToks about learning English instead of actually doing the thing? Or maybe you've told yourself, I'll start when I have more time. I'm too old for this now, or it's not like I need to be that good. Does that sound familiar to you? Today, we're going to talk about the real reasons you're holding yourself back from learning English. And trust me, I only know because I've used these same excuses when I felt miserable and a little bit hopeless. So, if you've been feeling a little guilty about not improving or wondering why it's so hard to stay consistent, then this episode is for you. Let's unpack these excuses and, more importantly, how you can get past them so that you can progress in your journey towards better fluency. Hello and assalamu alaikum. You're listening to the My English Matters podcast, where we help working adults improve their English with simple strategies, practical tools, and a dash of self-kindness. I'm Aisya, and today we're going to talk about the excuses that often hold us back from learning English. And before you think, oh no, I'm about to be scolded, don't worry, I'm not about to blame or shame anyone. In fact, I think many of these excuses are understandable. They often come from fear or past experiences, or just from being busy and tired. But they're still excuses, and if we don't name them, then they'll quietly hold us back for years. So let's bring them into the light and gently dismantle them one by one. Excuse number 1. I'm too old. Now, this is probably the one that we hear the most. People often tell us, my brain doesn't work like it used to. Or, learning English is a young person's game. Or even, I should have started earlier. Now, yes, children do have certain brain advantages when it comes to learning language. But that doesn't mean adults can't learn effectively. In fact, a study by Robert M. DeKeyser from the University of Pittsburgh has shown that while adults might find pronunciation a bit trickier to master compared to children, they can still successfully learn grammar through explicit instruction and conscious effort. In fact, adults often outperform children in areas like grammar learning in structured environments because they can use problem-solving skills and metalinguistic awareness. You see, as an adult, you're likely to have better discipline compared to when you were a child, and you've also got more life experience now. Chances are, hopefully, you know how to set goals and focus when it matters, and that's already a huge advantage. And I want to share a quick personal story here. So this isn't about learning English, but is about learning music, and I think it's relevant and kind of similar. So I actually grew up playing music in primary school when I was in Manchester. I played in my school's steel band. And when we came back to Malaysia, I continued to spend a lot of time with instruments, just trying to figure things out by ear. But I never went for theory lessons, and my music teacher in primary school never really taught us how to read music. So I wasn't reading sheet music or sitting for exams. I just played around until I was just good enough to record my own music demos. But at some point, I hit a wall. I struggled with more difficult chords, and the thoughts started creeping in. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should focus on other things at my age. I've been trying for years and I'm still not great. Maybe it's just too late for me. Does that sound familiar? It's that same voice that tells you you're too old to learn English, that you missed your chance and that you should have started earlier. But here's what I've realized. I didn't need to follow the proper path to keep progressing. And I didn't need to be young or talented or perfect. I just needed to keep showing up. I eventually found my way back into music because, let's face it, for me, music is, like English, a language that I use to express myself. Now, I have enough experience to know that every time I sit down with an instrument and struggle to play a new music chord or guitar solo and I feel like giving up, it's not because I'm bad at music. It's just that I'm not used to this particular new thing that I'm learning. So what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to learning, it really has little to do with your age or talent. You're not starting from zero anyway. You're starting with life experience. And the most important thing you can do to progress from now on is to show up for yourself. Because every time that you show up, even when it feels awkward or slow, you're telling yourself that you are worth the effort, and that you deserve to express yourself fully, and that you're not giving up on yourself. And that's what builds real progress. Right, so here's the second excuse. I don't have time. Now, this one we hear a lot, and we get it. You're busy, you've got work, you're raising kids, you're managing a household, you're replying to 47 WhatsApp groups that somehow all need your attention. Life feels busy. But here's a thought. What if learning English didn't require you to carve out a huge chunk of your day? What if you could make progress in small pockets of time, moments that are already part of your routine? For example, you could listen to a podcast while folding laundry, read a short article before bed, or speak aloud to yourself in English while cooking. These little moments add up. But I know you might be thinking, isn't that too little? Won't it be pointless? Now, that's where we often sabotage ourselves. We think if we can't do a full 1 hour study session, it's not worth doing at all. But the truth is, starting small is often the smartest way to build consistency. This is why I use something called the 5-minute promise. Whenever I feel like I don't have time or the motivation to practice music, I tell myself, just do 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes to play the keyboard. 5 minutes to figure out a new chord on the guitar. Or 5 minutes to tinker with a new idea. Now, 5 minutes sounds tiny, but here's what happens. Once you start, you often keep going. But even if you don't keep going, those 5 minutes still count. They still move you forward. The important part is this. By lowering the pressure to start, you make it easier to keep showing up. James Clear, author of best-selling self-help book, Atomic Habits, talks about making habits so easy you can't say no. For me, it's the 5-minute promise. 5 minutes of no guilt, no expectations. Most days, 5 minutes turns into more. But even if it doesn't, it's still progress. English works the same way. You don't need life to magically free up. You don't need a full hour. You just need to keep reconnecting with it, even for 5 minutes a day. Because little by little, those short moments build up. So find your 5 minutes and see how it goes from there. Moving on to the third excuse. I'm afraid people will judge me. Now, this one's a little sensitive, but we know it happens. Maybe you've had this experience where you're in a group where everyone's speaking Malay or your native language, and the moment you switch to English, someone says, tak payahlah cakap BI, cakap BM je. Meaning, don't bother trying to speak English, just speak in Malay. Or worse, they'll roll their eyes and say, English tu bahasa penjajah, kenapa nak belajar sangat? Which means, English is a language of colonizers. Why would you want to learn it? And I get where they're coming from. The history is real. The feelings connected to that pain are valid. And yet we should be proud of our native language. It's a core part of who we are. But learning English doesn't mean you're abandoning your culture. You're just adding another tool to your kit. See, English is a bridge that can connect you to more people, more knowledge, and more opportunities. You're expanding your reach. But I get it. There's also that fear of looking awkward. Now, I have a friend who only started speaking English quite recently. At first, his friends laughed at him because he sounded awkward and they weren't used to hearing him speak like that. But you know what happened? He just kept going. Little by little, he got better. And now it's just expected of him to speak English. And as he gets better and better, even better than the friends who laughed at him are, no one makes fun of him anymore. In fact, I think he's earned their respect. And that's the thing about growth. It's awkward in the beginning, but we adjust. People adjust. First, they may laugh. Then they notice your progress. And eventually, they respect your effort. Haters are just jealous. So don't hold yourself back just because you're afraid of how other people might react. their reactions often say more about them than about you. And remember, you're not here to impress anyone. You're here to become someone you're proud of. Excuse number 4. I don't know where to start. So, this is something that I know many people feel. It's not that you don't care or you're not serious. It's just overwhelm. Maybe you open YouTube or TikTok with a plan to learn something, but as soon as the page loads, there are 1,000 people on the screen telling you what to do. One video says, learn English in 7 days. Another says, avoid these 100 grammar mistakes. Then someone else is giving you 10 phrasal verbs you must memorize. You click on a video, watch a few minutes, and then get distracted. Suddenly, you're scrolling through mukbang reels or watching satisfying compilation videos of random fruits and vegetables getting run over by a lorry, for instance. 1 hour later, you close the app and you're left with this horrible, uneasy feeling and asking yourself, where did all that time go? I wanted to learn, but now I've just wasted my time. How do I even know where to begin? See, the problem is that you're overwhelmed with too much content coming at you from every direction, and you just don't know where to start. It's like going into a dense forest without a guide. How do you even know where the path begins? That's where My English Matters comes in. So we wanted to give learners a clear, guided path. So with My English Matters, you can start with the tips in our free emails. You can join a live class or sign up for our subscription program. We'll provide you with the direction to follow. Now, if you join My English Matters Academy, which is our subscription program, you don't just get random lessons thrown at you. We'll go through practical topics that are relevant to everyday life, and you'll also get live speaking practice sessions. So you're not just passively watching videos and hoping for the best. You'll have a chance to apply what you've learned, get feedback, and build confidence in a safe space. Because honestly, to learn a language, it's not about having more resources. It's about knowing which ones to trust and how to use them consistently. And that's what we're here to help you with. So if you're feeling stuck, maybe you don't need more videos. Maybe you just need a clear path and a community to walk with you. Now, if you're interested in learning more with us, then make sure you subscribe to our email list at myenglishmatters.com. Excuse number 5. My English is already okay. I don't need to improve. Now, this one's a bit tricky because on the surface, it sounds reasonable. You might be thinking, I can survive with the English I have. People understand me. Why push myself? And I get that. If you're already getting by, it feels like extra work for something that isn't urgent. But I want you to sit with this question for a moment. Are you expressing yourself fully or just getting by? Because surviving and thriving are not the same thing. There's a big difference between saying what you can say and saying what you really want to say. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we stay in the safe zone. We simplify our thoughts and avoid taking part in deeper conversations because we're afraid we won't be able to express ourselves fully, even if we tried. And over time, this becomes a habit. And I've experienced this myself, not with English, but with learning music. When I first started writing my own songs, I didn't need much to feel proud. I was just happy to have written something at all. But after a while, I noticed a pattern. Every song started sounding the same. I was using the same familiar chords every time and singing the same melodies. I wasn't trying anything new because it was easier to stay where I was comfortable. Getting better meant I had to go through that uncomfortable stage of being bad at something again, and I hated that feeling. Eventually, I told myself, maybe music's not the best way for me to express myself, and I stopped writing music altogether. But earlier this year, when I went to Pakistan, something shifted. I was introduced to Qawwali music while I was there. Now, Qawwali music is a form of Sufi devotional singing from the Indian subcontinent, and it's nothing like the Western music that I grew up with and was accustomed to. The melodies, the rhythms, the energy of it, it touched me in a way that the music that I was used to hadn't touched me in a long time. It opened my eyes to this whole new language of musical expression, and I realized it was never about music not being the best form of expression for me. I just outgrown my limited way of engaging with it. And I think that's exactly what happens with learning English. We often stop at being just good enough. But over time, good enough starts feeling dull. You plateau. You get bored of yourself. You start avoiding deeper conversations because it feels like too much work to express yourself well. So when you hear yourself thinking, my English is okay, I don't need to improve, I want you to ask yourself this. Am I okay with staying in this safe zone forever? Or is there a part of me that's ready to explore what else is possible? Because I promise you, when you approach growth not from fear or pressure, but from curiosity and self-respect, you'll discover parts of yourself that you didn't even know were waiting to be seen and heard. So those are 5 of the most common excuses that hold people back from improving their English. And if you noticed, none of those excuses mean you're lazy or incapable or not smart enough. Most of the time, they come from overwhelm, fear, or just life being busy and messy. But here's the thing, you don't have to fight these excuses. You just need to understand them and then start small to challenge your excuses. Progress is about making small, imperfect attempts consistently and with kindness towards yourself. And if you're ready for more support on this journey, we're here to walk with you. At My English Matters, we've built a community and learning space where you can take things step by step with lessons, live practice, and encouragement from people who understand what you're going through. So if you've been listening to this episode and thinking, I'm ready, but I need a clear path, come join us. Sign up to our email list at myenglishmatters.com to get free tips and updates. That's all from me today. Thanks for listening. Until next time, take care and keep growing.